Uh, all right. All right. We are live right here on the Truth Be Told Show. It is Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, and it is actually the only Tuesday, June 14th, 2022, that you will ever get in your life. So, folks, make sure you make today a great day. Do the best that you can because you will never, ever get another June 14th, 2022 ever again. You guys ready there?
Good morning. Good morning, Joe.
We're
All
excited
right.
about having a terrific Tuesday.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get the show started, folks. Right now, it's the Truth Be Told Show.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told Show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told Show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Nishorn.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
The History Untold 400 project is unlike any in America. This project does more than pay lip service to the 400 years since the first enslaved Africans were brought to our American shores. This project seeks to show the monumental accomplishments the descendants of American slaves have contributed to this great nation of ours. The History Untold 400 project seeks to promote a lifestyle of exclusivity for all foundational families of America. History Untold 400 project is the only movement that seeks to change the conversation and present a space that promotes an exclusive conversation for all American foundational families. And I believe in the power of the History Untold 400 project and the vision.
Folks, it is another day, another episode of Truth Be Told Show. I've got my brothers with me, Marcus D. Ray, as well as Better Days with Peter Hayes. Fellas, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
I think you're muted there, Marcus.
Sorry about that. I'm driving too, trying to get back to my studio. I said it's another great day. Always excited to be here. Always.
Absolutely. Better Days with Peter Hayes. How you doing, man?
I'm wonderful. I'm down here in sunny Tampa, Florida, living the good life.
Yeah, man. You know, it was the other day. I wasn't even mad at you. You sent a message. You said, "Hey, I'm not gonna be able to be on the meeting today because I'm at the beach."
That's
so
right.
I'm not even mad at you, man. I'm telling you, bro. I mean, like I said, last year I was supposed to be down for a week, and that was what, early part of November 6th through the 9th or 13th, something like that. I was just supposed to be gone for like a week, and I didn't come back until December 28th. So I know how it is, man, and then spending almost 10 years there before I moved to Kentucky. I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, you can be mad at a lot of things in Florida. There's plenty to get mad at if you choose to. But I'm gonna tell you something. You ever have a bad day, there's one thing you can do. Go right down to east to any beach, or if you're close enough, go west to any beach and just walk that beach. I'm gonna tell you something. All of your problems, all of your woes become so minute, and it is as if you are repaired by standing by that water, especially at night. I love it the most because it's the scariest. It's you hear the roar. No, you hear the roar of the ocean, right? But it's black.
Right.
You can't see it. You can't see nothing unless there's lights around. Especially when it's a place that has restaurants up here, and then you got the beach, and then you got the water. So the lights from the restaurants are kind of far away, so you get a little dimmer of of the lights or whatever behind you, but in front of you it's just blackness, and you hear that roar, that ocean, and it's like scary, but you're in awe all at the same time, and it's absolutely amazing. And I encourage anyone to do it. Man, if you ever come back, bring some of that beautiful weather back with you. I appreciate it. Because right now we are getting the sweltering heat.
Yeah, the other day where I was on the beach, yeah, like you said, you look out and 70% of the world's landmass is covered by ocean.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing to think 70% of the whole planet is covered by ocean.
And to think that we haven't even discovered all of it. We haven't been through all the canals and everything. You can't tell me that there's not some living things down there that we don't know about. I believe in mermaids and mermans. They're real. Man, so what's going on? We got national, international news. It seems as if this mass shooting thing is continuing. What do you guys think about it all? Somebody setting us up?
Well, I do see that it's, I think last weekend was the first weekend that there wasn't a mass shooting. And as I look at some of the reports, they say we've had 220 already this year. And so I guess what they define as a mass shooting would be the first thing to determine, and then go from there.
Would you guys, would you guys count, and Peter, I'm assuming you're still keeping up with local news here in Louisville. Would you guys count this past Saturday's shooting? Is that a mass shooting? I mean, it was like 4 or 5 people shot and one of them died. Is that considered a mass shooting?
Well, typically they don't. I mean, typically, shucks, every weekend in many, many cities, you have multiple shootings. The mass shooting is usually someone goes into a public place, a mall or a school or a shopping.
Or a park. I mean, isn't that considered a mass shooting? Because this last Saturday's shooting was at Waterfront Park. And it was, like I said, people, I seen people's posts where they were ducking and dodging because of the mass shooting. And 5 people got shot and 1 dead, I think. So I'm considering that a mass shooting.
It may have been. I was not aware of that. I've been down here. I don't usually watch a lot of local news when I'm in town anyway, so I usually hear secondhand stuff.
Yeah, I would classify that based off of the criteria. They're all in the same place, and they don't know how many shooters were involved, but there were at least 5 people injured. And then the side injuries that came from people stampeding, trying to get out of the way, that maybe weren't physically shot but got hurt.
Exactly. Well, here, I want to show you guys something. I want to show you guys how easy it is for someone to get a gun whenever they want. I'm going to show you guys just a small clip.
Take a ride with Jack, a 13-year-old boy from Virginia who just got his braces off and usually spends Saturday morning playing basketball with his friends. But he's also a young actor, and today we hired him to help us make a point. We asked him to take a drive around town, with his mother, of course, since he's not nearly old enough to drive a car. We pass shops where he isn't old enough to work the register. Then we stop at the convenience store to see Jack try to buy beer. The cashier can't believe he even tried.
Literally, he looks like he's 12.
At the next store, Jack tries to buy cigarettes, with no luck.
I'm so sorry, I can't sell you a cigarette.
Later, He strikes out trying to buy racy magazines.
All right, okay, thank you.
And then lottery tickets.
Can I get a couple of scratch-offs?
How old are you? You got your ID?
13.
You what?
I'm 13.
You can't get no scratch off, baby.
Okay. All right, thank you.
It's laughable to everyone here, the idea that we'd ever expose a 13-year-old to the dangers of a lottery ticket. But then we arrive here, at the gun show.
It should shoot pretty good for you.
I'll take it.
Within minutes, the 13-year-old easily and legally bought a .22 caliber rifle from a private seller and walked away with it.
So let's just think about that. Now that was Jack. Now I like to see one with JJ.
Right, and that's exactly what I was going to say.
Where they take JJ to the gun place to go get a gun. But I mean, I almost believe that the end result would be the same, because the seller is just looking to sell. That's my belief. But I would love to see that comparison. So I'm gonna check around and see if there's any of that comparison going on, because I would love to see that. But,
well, you know what, Joe? In that same comparison, I have looked at the January 6th hearings, and you see how they compare what happened on January the 6th to what happened over the summer after George Floyd. You see, and how they responded when Black Lives Matter went to Washington, and how when those patriots showed up in Washington. So the comparisons are everywhere you want to look. In that particular instance, maybe just about the gun, but those same comparisons happen every day all across this country, the judicial system, everywhere.
And I agree with you, but at the same time, if we look at it, let's just do it from a math standpoint. We need all the variables to be exactly the same, right? So if you want to do true comparisons, all the variables need to be exactly the same, not the same type of person, that does the, but exactly the same. Meaning, I would need them to go back and do that same thing over and over with JJ, or Lil May, do that same thing over and over, go to the same places and try and hit the same dealer. That's what I would need in order to truly believe that the results would be different or the same, or to truly believe the results or comparisons, right?
Well, so there's no in that instance, to get an identical study, that they're out there all the time. I'll bring you some. I can't get them right now, but those same studies exist where the situations were identical except for the color of the person's skin. Mm-hmm. And so I don't disagree with you that variables can interplay. I see it happening in the court all the time, because you don't know all the circumstances surrounding a person's situation, and so there can be variables that cause it to be a different outcome. But more
glasses,
times than not,
no glasses.
Is that you, Superman?
No glasses. That's what I'm saying. I may seem to some a little more aggressive, like this, versus a bit less aggressive and maybe more emasculated, like this. That society dictated that.
Joe, you actually look a little educated there.
Exactly. No, I mean, studies show that people believe that people that wear glasses are smarter. So when I used to do sales for Vitamix, I actually, in the beginning of me starting, this was where I really got a chance to really dig in and learn people. And when I was doing these sales, there was all type of things that would happen. I mean, I can remember one of my first shows. I took my partner, one of my homeboys, to be my what we call a closer. So I'm up doing the sales demonstration. He's over there dealing with money, and so now you got two brothers there. And this white guy came, this European, he came over and to do the sale and everything. This is a $400 plus price item. And you know what? as we were taking credit card and stuff like that, he said, you know what, never mind. Let me have, and he wanted the paper back that because back then it was, the little credit card thing where you lay the thing on the thing and you do the ink or whatever. But he wanted his paper back. And with the credit card information, he just all of a sudden decided he didn't want to do it, and I knew what it was. It was his ideology of two brothers there, and both of us, were good, clean looking brothers anyway. But when that happened, I said, you know what? I know what white men like. I know what European men like. They love chocolate candy. So, ever since then, I took a black female with me to be my closer, and them boys would swoon around her because I was in a space where predominantly European people were spending the money, $400 for a high-powered piece of blending equipment. But nonetheless, I went through shaving, no mustache, no beard, all of these different things because of studies and glasses, no glass. After a while, what I determined was that the majority of people were buying things based on my passion for the product, and I was able to convey that passion to the people. Therefore, people bought based on that. And so after that, I just stopped caring about all the appearance and stuff like that, and I started just invoking my passion into it. But it went to show not everybody has the ability to do that. Not everybody has the ability to get stopped by a cop and think right off the bat, you know what? Let me take this ball cap off, put it to the side because that's a stigma. Let me make sure I'm speaking articulate, because that's a stigma. Let me make sure I say yes sir and no sir like I do with my own parents and elders of mine, because that's a stigma. You know what I mean? Not everybody has the wherewithal to sit back and say, you know what, let me do things in a proper manner. Some people just gonna be how they gonna be, and they're gonna be how they're gonna be, whether they kicking it with their friends or whatever, and they're gonna be that way in front of that officer. I've done it on a couple occasions, and even went to Facebook with it, went Facebook Live with it, and walked away fine, no issues. Because
I think that video showed a 13-year-old kid buying a gun at a gun show. That was pretty interesting.
And apparently it's legal.
Well, yeah, some states and maybe that's kind of surprising, but I guess.
But in the same state, he couldn't buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, you have to be 18. So there's
the dangers of a lottery ticket are so overwhelming.
Yeah.
He might take that lottery ticket and spray the whole crowd with it.
Yeah, there's talk right now of raising the age limit for someone to buy a gun from 18 to 21. That's a big debate going on right now. Probably some merit to it because the whole gun culture in America is it's an interesting phenomenon, and it's pretty interesting compared to many places of the world. On the other hand, I always like to look at things balanced. I don't own a gun, never have, so I'm not a big gun nut. And I just heard something where about 10 years ago, there were 42% of households own gun. Now it's down to 35. So there's less households that have guns. So the point they were making is the guns aren't the issue; it's the mental health and the people. And I think that's a valid argument because,
but it's always amazing how mental health, when it's European, it's mental health. We always get around to mental health when it's Europeans, and then when it's not, then they're just violent. Well, go ahead, but I just want to make sure you track that.
No, I think it's both. I think it's a culture of violence, but it's also, I don't buy a lot of these mental health stuff, and even people say, alcoholism is a health issue, disease. Nah, drug use, come on. I think that's just a big deal to get a bunch of money out of the system. I mean, I think.
I don't know. I mean, as someone who has been able to be upfront and personal with an alcoholic, that will waver back and forth as to whether or not they're an alcoholic. After the midst, in the midst, or after a big situation that their alcohol played a big part in, or alcoholism played a big part in. I do believe that alcoholism is a disease, in the sense that, I've seen it. People who have an inability to notice the problem, and when they're in the midst of it, drinking and continuing to drink, and they become overwhelmed by that alcohol. I've sat there and watched it and just seen it go from here to here, and I'm quite amazed, because I know myself, I can drink, and I don't get anywhere near anything like that. I'm a laid back dude, might fall asleep. But I've seen people,
They say that
they just,
about 1 in 7 individuals are, physically, they can't take a drop of alcohol. They're addicted. So I think I have done some alcohol and drug counseling many years ago. And yeah, so that is a factor. But other people, it's a lifestyle. It's a combination, just like everything in life. Some of it is societal, some of it's personal will and overcoming, certain things. Um, but when there's big money involved, it all becomes clinical, and people want to pour in tons of
oh
money.
yeah.
Then
Look at what we've done with this whole what is that? The opioid. Come on, dude. Like that. Really, what America is doing with that is they are smacking. They're not even smacking. They are just punching the face of every descendants of American slaves that has been through the 70s and 80s, as we sat there and watched the war on drugs and all of that stuff, and the whole crackhead epidemic and whatnot. It's just crazy how this is exactly like that, yet now we're pouring money into it and making it a more convenient situation for the drug addicts.
Well, Joe,
They got dispensary machines, and I know, Marcus, what you're saying is there's that comparison right there.
Yeah.
There it is. It is. But dude, that is just wild and crazy, and I can't believe that honestly, what that lets me know, number one, is that America is full of shit. It's a great country, but it's full of shit. And number two, it does let me know that the tactics to make American descendants of slaves more docile is working, because as soon as that stuff started coming out the way it is, every last one of us should be up in arms, running the streets, mad, protesting, and everything, in order to let it be known that y'all are effed up for this one.
Well,
that's the way I
Joe,
feel.
But see, Joe, that's the point in case, right? And I keep saying this, but remember when this country was started, they were at a conundrum, right? Because they said all men are created equal. At the same time, they wanted to hold another group of people in bondage, right? And so the propaganda machine that made that possible, it still exists today. And you just made point in case of it. I was making light of it earlier when I was talking about the January 6th commission and the reports that they're making now. But as I watch people respond, they're more upset about what happened after George Floyd. I'm talking about my European friends. They're more upset about what happened with George Floyd and the protests and all the things that happened there than a real threat on their democracy on January the 6th. And that propaganda machine is what makes that possible and keeps making it possible.
Yeah, you're right. What do you think, Peter? Is it all propaganda that is influencing certain events and likenesses of things versus others?
Yeah, I think it's all marketing, propaganda, everything in life. Each of us have a spin on things in our life, and yeah, so I think that's just a natural part of
Tell us
life.
what white people think.
About what? What topic?
Tell us what they think about this whole opioid thing versus the crack epidemic.
Well, interesting. I went to the first national crack cocaine conference in New York City, put on by the New York City Police Department. That was in the early 80s, and that's really when it was, started to become a huge, huge issue. And people say, well, the difference in sentences between crack cocaine and regular cocaine, and that there's a lot of truth to that. One thing people don't know, and is the science behind it, we talked about earlier. So, for instance, crack cocaine, you take cocaine, street cocaine, which is usually about 20 or 30% real cocaine, because it's broken down, and they cook it, and it becomes 97, 98% pure cocaine. So it's much more addictive than powdered cocaine, excuse me. And that seems like a
Hey,
that's
hold on. I
Hey,
just thought that was funny. You said powdered campaign. You're big and you know a lot about what's going on in the political realm in a lot of different spaces. So I hope you didn't just tell on some people.
And what's interesting with crack cocaine that I learned is it hits the part of the brain, and same thing with regular cocaine, that affects the same stimulus as sexual stimulus. So what happens, it gets people really, really excited, just like they're having an orgasm, to be frank. And
Mm-hmm.
boom, the problem is once that cocaine, the crack wears off, they drop down and they feel depressed. So then they got to, another hit to get up to that high. And it's very, very addictive. Now, I used to be involved in, powdered cocaine and even sold it back in the 80s, 70s and 80s. And, very few people are going to get addicted to powder cocaine. It's possible. Uh, I don't know if you saw the Aerosmith lead singer said he spent in his lifetime $6 million on cocaine.
That sounds like he was addicted.
Yeah, so he announced it, but the crack is so much more highly concentrated. You
Oh
can
yeah.
be you can take one, and they said you literally could take one hit of crack and be addicted, and then selling yourself a month later, selling yourself on the street. And I've experienced that with crack, and
Mm.
it doesn't necessarily mean it should be set different sentences, but it is very interesting how these drugs, and now most of the drugs now are very highly addictive. Just like technology keeps on proving better, well, the whole drugs are becoming much more addictive. This fentanyl is a killer, and
Yeah.
and they're mixing that with everything, with heroin, with meth,
And
and
that same part of the brain that is heightened by drugs and sex is the same as with sugar.
yeah,
So let that be known just the same, because again, these things that are addictive out there, it is a certain part of the brain. So I tell you what, we're going to go to commercial break, but when we come back, we want to make sure that we talk a little bit. I don't know if you guys want to talk about the Father's Day walk or march. You know anything about it, Peter?
oh yeah, I'm one of the
Okay.
main organizers.
Okay, great. So when we come back, we'll go to commercials, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that, and see what we can do to get that out there about this Father's Day walk in March. All right, it's the Truth Be Told show. We'll be right back, folks.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap sticks and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
Hey folks, check out healthdaddywow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, healthdaddywow.net. Remember, healthdaddywow.net.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable Products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
All right, folks, we are back. Guys, this is a picture that I took just so you know that I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but can you see that picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was out when I was driving cross country a couple weeks ago, man, and just I mean, in awe of the landscaping out that way. These big giant mountains and just all type of stuff, man, that you just
there's a
that
lot.
we don't see here.
Well, there's a lot to America. I mean, great places to visit. We often don't think about it. I mean, I think about living here in Elizabethtown, and I have yet to go to the high school basketball Hall of Fame because it's just across the street. And so that's I made myself go to the Patton Museum because I didn't want to miss it. And so I think we have a lot of things to see in this country, but people get bogged down in the day-to-day life, and they never get around to it. And so it's great that you were able to get out and see some of the great things this country has to offer. Absolutely, everyone should.
And excuse me, people were so nice when I got out to Utah too. Some really nice people, nice. And I think a lot of times some of us get so bogged down with this whole racism ideology that when I move around, I just treat people like humans, and that's it.
Right.
You're no better than me. I'm no better than you. Even when I used to do a lot of those trade shows and stuff with Vitamix Corp, it was the underbelly people, as society would put it, that I was the nicest to, because those were the trash people, all that stuff. They were the ones who, I mean, some places they had whole cafeterias with great food free for those employees, and they take me in there and be like, all right, Joe, hey, you can go ahead and eat what you want, man. So, those are people I'm the nicest to. But, when you get out and about, man, it's beautiful to see some amazing stuff out there, and then to take it all in, like Peter's doing out there with the beach, just to take it all in. It's a whole different lifestyle, and I think it's good for people to get out, and do that. And these are the type of things that help to create strong families. If the family gets to go out together and travel, see other things, see other cultures,
right,
other ways of being and such like that, I think it's important. So as we talk about strong families, strong fathers, strong men, this is the month of Father's Day, right? So I think Father's Day, and maybe a father's birthday is like the only day that's for men. Throughout 365 days, we get two. And I don't care what nobody says, I see it. Men, we are stepped on more so than any other being, even sometimes our own families. And it's not even done intentionally, but we're the ones who will give up our everything to make sure that everyone else is straight. And I don't think people really, I don't think even in our family sometimes do they really pay attention to that. Sometimes it's like, you wonder if people are paying attention to the fact that, he's making sure y'all got
Right.
before he makes sure he gets, and at least that's the way I roll. And most
Right.
of the guys I know, you guys, I'm sure, we pretty much roll the same way when it comes to our families. But we've got this march going on with Charles Elliott in Louisville, Kentucky. This week he was, we were looking for him to be a guest on the show, but things didn't work out. We'll probably get him on another day. But as far as this march is concerned, it's the Father's Day Walk March. And this is happening on Sunday, Father's Day.
No, it's actually happening on Saturday, the
Okay.
18th. It's the second annual Father's Day Peace Walk, and we're going to be having a prayer breakfast at King Solomon Baptist Church at 8:45, and then the walk starts at 10 a.m. And we'll be walking from King Solomon down to Kroger and at Broadway and 28th, and then walking back, and we'll have different speakers. We're excited. We got a lot of different churches, community groups, the unions are involved. We're kind of building up a coalition, and hopefully each year this will get bigger and bigger. And it's honoring fathers and fatherhood, but also we're addressing, obviously Louisville has been, really rocked by, correct. Every year it gets more and more homicides. So, and, most of us, this is something interesting on the left and right. Most of us understand that the fatherless home is a big, big problem, because these young men, especially, most of the shootings are young men, even doesn't matter any ethnicity. It's young men who don't have strong fathers, in their lives. It's not, obviously there's outliers, but if you have strong fathers and families that are raising young men to be male, young boys to be males, you're pretty good off. Guys can get off track and hang out with the wrong people, but the importance of having a strong father is really, really important. So we definitely want to lift up fatherhood, and it's a responsibility. Just like we said, it's a responsibility to be a father. You can shirk that responsibility, and we see more and more of that in society. But there's pros and cons of being a father, and there's or being a husband, right? If you're going to be monogamous, you have to give up on chasing after other women. So there's choices we have to make in life, and hopefully as a society we become more and more mature. But the trends are not good, because last 60 years we've seen, as we've talked about on Truth Be Told, we've seen a real sharp increase in children born out of wedlock, and it's up to about 41% now across the board. And interesting, that has led to a lot of social problems.
And but you said the key word there, Peter, mature. I think there is a maturity issue. I'll put it this way. I think there's something in alignment with an impoverished mindset, however a person got there, whether it was societal or what, however a person got there, there is a correlation between an impoverished mindset and immaturity. It absolutely is. And I think that's a big part of the problem. I think technology plays a part in that level of immaturity, because people don't have to do as much to do things on a daily basis. I mean, people take food for granted, so they eat garbage. Why? Because of a microwave. We take food for granted because you can just go and buy something and put it in the microwave, heat it up, and now that thing inside of your head, that addiction, is now satisfied, right? So, you know, I think that the more technologically inclined we become as a society, the more dumbed down people become. And ultimately, that correlates to a certain level of immaturity. You know, the immature, the impoverished mindset sits and speaks about things in the world without any knowledge to back it up, as if it's truth. You know, oh yeah, I heard, I bet you that so and so celebrity did this and that, and I bet you this was the reason why. I bet you, I bet you, I bet you, but you don't know. You have no clue as to why that is. No facts to back it up, but the immature, impoverished mindset is so immature that they will sit there and speak on something without any knowledge of whether or not any knowledge to back that up. So, you know,
But I don't
I don't
understand how
know.
that. I don't
Go ahead.
understand how those things make you immature, or that impoverished mindset. I don't know that those two things correlate, because there's some very mature people that are impoverished because of their circumstances that they haven't been able to change. And so I don't know that I could technically link an impoverishment to somebody's maturity level. Um, and I know plenty of
There's a
people who,
laziness that comes along with that too, as well. And anyone has the ability to change their mindset if they just make, I mean, change their circumstances if they make a couple changes. You know, I've had people say, well, I can't make, I'm not able to read, those books to help study this, that. Yes, you are. Get up earlier, go to bed later. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I mean,
but that's a different thing than being impoverished, right? And so I think, at least what I hear you
well,
saying, is that if
there's
you're
being
impoverished, you
impoverished, and
can't
then
do
there's an
those things.
impoverished mindset, right? You wouldn't those be two
Okay.
different things? Being impoverished and then being having an impoverished mindset.
Well, I think an impoverished mindset, meaning that I can't do any better than I am, so therefore I don't try.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
to tie
that's
that
what
to
I'm
a
talking
person's right, but to tie that to a person's maturity is I just don't think they go together. I can be mature and have a family and have a strong family and be content that I'm never going to be more than I am, because I'm not, and therefore I'm not going to try. But I take care of my children with what means I have available,
about. Okay,
and so
okay.
I it's just hard for me to make that leap. Um, I was thinking about something that Charles Kettering said, and he said every father should remember one day his son will follow his example, not his advice.
Mm.
And as we talk about, this Father Day's walk, and hopefully what the purpose of it is to help fathers understand that our sons are always watching, whether we think they are or not, whether we're in the home with them or not. They are watching, not what we say, but what we do. And so, as I think about what he said and thinking about this walk that Peter's going, I'm hoping that somewhere in there, in the course of this, that we say to fathers that our children are watching us, and then when we give them advice, they may not follow it because that's not what we did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very
yeah.
true. Yeah,
But
one thing we did last year, we haven't scheduled it this year, but after just the walk, there's a lot of people concerned about the violence. We actually had a job fair. We brought in some unions, some government agencies to provide some of these young men who are, wanting to improve their life, and even if they had felonies or difficulties, and we were able to get a couple dozen young men jobs. And the unions have incredible opportunities. They'll take someone and train them, and they're making $18-20 an hour as they get trained. And once they become an apprenticeship, these young men and women, actually, we have both men and women, they can make 25, 30, 35, $40 an hour pretty quickly. And
oh
the
yeah,
unions train them for free, and they get paid while they're training. So there's a great opportunity, but they got to want it too. They
yeah,
have to want, to do better.
And you're talking about certain type of trades like man, just slipped my mind. I was about to say my brother uh did it at one point. You know, he's somebody who, you know, been in and out of jail. But what is the one?
Electricians, plumbers,
No,
welders,
welders, yeah,
masonaries.
welders,
Yeah,
especially welders make really good money, you know. But
absolutely.
yeah, this is actual work. Electricians, plumbers, welders, masonaries. You know, this is actual physical work, and like you said, a person has to want it, and you can take that trade. And believe me, you know, those guys. Plenty of people walk up to them while they're working on a union job and say, "Hey, I need this done at my house. Can you help me out?" And you know, plenty of them take side jobs because of that. And those people that have those trades, I'm telling you, you know, you can never be broke because there's always some fixing on something that needs to be done. Even if we go to where everybody has a spaceship and they're flying around, well, you're gonna need some welders to come weld that
Absolutely.
hole back together. You know, you're gonna need some masonaries to help build the spaceship garage that they're gonna need. You know, so believe me, there's some trades out there that you never gonna go broke. Them spaceships still need air conditioning units in it. So the mechanics, you know, learning that trade, you just gonna learn how to have to, you know, I went from being an engineer for Bell South, climbing telephone poles and stuff like that, to, you know, provisioning for internet services and via, you know, voice over IP lines and stuff like that as technology, you know, changed. And I wish I had have continued in that genre because you know, it would have just went even further and further into this technological space. But again, you know, like you said, man, these trades are important, and I think that's something that's important, you know, for people to kind of get back into and pass down to their kids, man, is the idea of trades. I mean, sure, there's plenty of us out here that's gonna be doing computers and working online and stuff like that. But for those people that don't have that wherewithal, then I think we should definitely be looking back at trades and stuff. Now we'll
Absolutely.
run a commercial real quick. We'll come back and do some wrap up here. But you know, Ali Majoub says father's advice is so important to children because the advice usually is backed up by truth and personal experiences. And yeah, you know, your parents are the first people whose
Yeah.
truth you typically believe, right? You know, and so if you know your parents become BS, then the kids will find out later as they get older. But ultimately, you know, that advice from father to children is so important, man, and no one should ever tamper with the idea of a father giving his children advice. And that's another issue that we have is people out there that tamper with that father child relationship when you got a good man, good father out there. But we'll be right back, folks. Again, it is the Truth Be Told Show.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable Products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told Show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told Show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Nishorn.
All right, folks, we're back to the Truth Be Told Show. Uncle Mishorn is on sabbatical right about now, taking a bit of a break. He has some things he needs to tend to, so we unfortunately won't get a chance to speak with him for a bit on the show. But hey, you still got Mr. Just Ask Joe, Better Days of Peter Hayes, and Marcus D. Ray, all part of the show, whether they're behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, or whether they're creating the scenes. Then these are all brothers of the Truth Be Told Show. So as we wrap up, guys, then, let's just kind of think. Again, strong men, strong families, strong fathers. Peter, you put some numbers out earlier. Over 41% children born out of wedlock. It's hard for me because I know that within that number, as you take that 41% number and you break it down, over 70% is the melanated community of children born out of wedlock. So if this were a team, if America were a team and we were competing against other countries, the idea, if we wanted that over 41% to be lower, well, hell, you get rid of these people over here, and you ain't got to worry about that number being so high. I mean, go ahead, Marcus.
Well, no, I just thought of it
in your brain.
Well, the reason I smiled is because I think about places like China and India, where you have to get permission to have children. And so while the flip side of that, there's more out there than just we're running amok having children. So it kind of, in comparison to the rest of the world, I go back to all factors or environmental factors being the same, then you can make that comparison to the rest of the world. And I just smiled when you said that.
It's 17%. Over 17% in America is the Asian community. Out of that 41%, 17% the Asian community, 35% is the Caucasian community, because the Europeans they want to be black so bad, and over 70% is the melanated community. So
I agree
maybe
with that.
maybe the Asian community is still waiting to have permission. It's trauma. So they're still waiting to have permission. That's why their numbers are so low, having kids out of wedlock, right?
Well, I think it gets back to the family. It's the family culture, and family culture and societal culture. Your partner on the tipping point, John Wah, has brought up a couple points, is that America is very highly
saying it like you were Asian. John Wah.
Yes. When I first heard his name, I thought he was an Asian guy, but he said, America is very, very highly sexualized, and he, mentioned the African American community is very, very highly sexualized community, more so than any other community. I remember he asked me that on the one show, and I think that has a lot to do about it, because from
the videos to the TV shows, especially nowadays, that are surrounding our community, it's all hyper sexualized. P Valley is one show. Oh my God, it's a show about strip clubs and strippers.
I've never seen that.
Hypersexualized. All of the look at all of the reality, shows. Something. What do you call it? Something love and hip hop, and then something Atlanta. And you look at all the ones that are in the melanated community, it's always just drama and fighting, and and sex. Whereas you go and look at some of the European community reality shows similar, it's not like that, you know. And I know from being in the TV industry and knowing different people. I remember I met the guy who I met a nephew to the Anna Nicole Smith dude here in Louisville. There was the camera guy who ended up, you know, having a baby with Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah.
Well, his like little cousin, nephew, or something used to work for me, and he told me, he said, Joe, they would tell us like we need. They were trying to get them to bring out drama.
So it was
You know what I
scripted.
mean? And that was exactly they're telling them to, you know, tell them how you really feel, and you know, just act this way and stuff like that. So I know that on those shows they do the same thing, and they want that same stuff, and those people go out there and they go and they run amok, and they don't care about how they look to the rest of society. They care about that money that
That's
they're
right.
getting. You know, they care about the ability to go from this show and create a brand for
Right.
themselves, and now keep that money rolling.
But
So
what does that
we
do
sell
to
ourselves out for the mighty dollar, and it's been that way since rap. I
Yeah,
mean,
Well,
and how much does that influence people because they see it in popular culture, think, well, that, you know, act a fool and crazy like that is acceptable, you know,
right.
and
And I think when we talk about it, and first we understand that marketing is propaganda. That's just a cleaned up name for it. You know,
mhm,
propaganda has a negative connotation, so they kind of changed it from propaganda to marketing. You know, when you think of propaganda, you think of Hitler and the propaganda he put out, but in fact, it's all propaganda. And so when I don't look at that type of stuff, so I couldn't even tell you the names of them. And I didn't let my children watch it growing up. And once they got to be adults, I couldn't keep them from doing that. But
yeah,
while they were younger, those things didn't come on in my house, and I couldn't tell you the names of them except I heard Joe say some of them like that. And so, and my point to all that is that one of the things that Sigmund Freud said is that I cannot think of any need in childhood as strong as the need for a father's protection.
yeah,
And you know, we keep talking about the family and the importance of family and the father being the protector. And sometimes because people don't get along and they separate, but that doesn't mean that you can't still be the father and you still can't be that protector. Now, it takes both parents to help that happen sometimes. You know, we see when marriages fall apart, sometimes both people can be vindictive, and that can make that difficult to happen. And so while some people want to be strong fathers, both people have to understand that that father needs to be in the child's life to be that protector and to be that person that they see. So when that time comes for advice, they see their father doing the things they're telling them they should be doing.
absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, as we wrap up thinking about Father's Day and such like that, you know, the one thing that I can say is for me, and here's the thing, um, everybody has this idea of how a person's supposed to feel and such like that. Especially, you know, I mean, women, you know, from 1 second, you know, you know, you don't show any emotions. You don't want me to show any emotions, you know. And then when you do show emotions, you why are you being so emotional? You know what I mean? I mean, it's, you know, it's just a catch-22, you know, in a lot of cases. And you know, I think people just need to understand. Look, man, you know, if we take all of these layers of separation away, you know, we're all just human. You know, I'm just human, and I'm literally out here trying to just be a good guy. I'm trying to handle my responsibilities. I'm trying to do the different things I'm trying to do. I'm not out here trying to run around, run amok, and do anything stupid or silly. I'm literally trying to just be a good dude and do some good stuff. So, um, people need to understand we're all just human, and that's it. Start there. Start there as humans. Uh, and one of the most important humans is a father. And if you don't believe me, we'll just look throughout history and see how the father has been taken away. Why would a society focus so much on pulling this man out of the house? It's because he's so important.
Yeah, Marcus made a good point. One of the role of a father is protector, and especially, maybe it would be a good show talk the difference between a father-son relationship and father-daughter. Traditionally, especially father-daughter, the husband and the father are supposed to protect the wife and the daughter from predators, and we know there's a lot of male predators out here, and these young girls. Interesting statistic that the average teenage pregnancy, the guy is 6 years older than the girl. So what does that mean? She's really looking for that fatherly love, and these predators, sexual predators, players, they know that, so they play upon that. They take young girls.
And I don't even think that most guys actually know that. I think that they're just doing what they do. They're being how they are. I don't think they literally are sitting there saying, oh, well, I know that these girls want a daddy. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna be her daddy in a different way. No, I don't think nobody's saying that, but there is an understanding, I think, from older guys in some cases that they have the ability to have a certain amount of control over a woman, maybe. So there's some guys out there that look for that, the ability to control, maybe. So,
I think a father, we praise our daughter, we protect her, and if a young female is in a fatherless home and the mom is always trashing her dad, what girls need that fatherly love, so they're going to look for it somewhere. And it's
a lot of
interesting.
cases these girls are growing up with a lack of respect for men.
Yeah. And you hear it all. Well, I don't need a man. Yeah. Here's something funny I heard the other day. You heard a bunch of women, well, I don't need a man. I've never heard a guy say, I don't need a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. You ain't never. Yeah. Where's that song at? I can pay my own bills. I can lift up 500 pounds myself. I don't need you, girl. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll start that song. Hey, but either way, folks, hey, it's been a great show. It's another episode of the Truthe Be Told Show. We are running out of time. We're stepping out today, folks. Listen, make it a great day. Again, it's Tuesday, June 14th. Father's Day is this Sunday. Go out, and be great to a father. All right. So y'all have a good one, brothers. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll catch you next week.
We're out.
Peace.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truthe Be Told Show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truthe Be Told Show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.